Begin now by finding a comfortable position, allowing your body to settle into the surface beneath you. So you notice how the bed or the chair or even the floor, the earth itself rises up to meet you, supporting your weight without any effort, without any judgment, just simply holding you as you are. There is no need to adjust, no need to perfect your posture, no need to do anything other than simply be exactly as you are in this moment. And as you take a deep breath in, drawing the air slowly in through your nose, feeling it fill your lungs, expand your chest, create a space within you. And as you exhale, let your eyelids grow heavy, and if they haven't closed already, you just let them close right down, right now. Closing gently like curtains drawn at the end of a very long day. With each easy breath, feel yourself drifting deeper and deeper, like a leaf floating down through layers of clear, pure water, sinking softly, peacefully, down and down and down, into a place of profound stillness and quiet. The water holds you, supports you, allows you to descend without fear, without resistance, like one of those dreams where you're breathing beneath the water. A dream perhaps as a child. You dreamt that you could just move around so easily, so unimpeded, under the water. Your breathing finds its own rhythm now, natural and easy, like waves meeting the shore, like wind moving through branches, like any perfect system that knows its own intelligence. With each easy exhale, you release another layer of tension, another layer of today, another layer of effort, another layer that no longer serves you. Breathing out anxiety and stress. Deeper and deeper, down and down like roots, going right down into rich soil, finding nourishment in the darkness, in the quiet space between your thoughts. And as you continue to breathe one lazy, easy breath after another, like in a dream, you find yourself standing at the edge of a vast garden, a garden that stretches off beyond the horizon, disappearing off into the mist of possibility. This garden has always been here, always been yours, though it may be that you had forgotten, like vivid dreams engaging, enthralling, so easily forgotten. Maybe you walked here a long time ago, or perhaps you've stood at the edge many, many times. Maybe you felt you'd no permission or right to be here, but this garden was always here, was always yours. And the gate before you is weathered but strong, made of wood that is darkened with age, with iron hinges that show green patina, time and weather. Vines too have grown up and around its frame, flowering with blooms you cannot quite name but recognize somewhere deep within you, within your memory. And as you place your hand upon the gate, you realize it's never actually been locked. You just thought it was, or you gained that impression somewhere. The handle lifts easily, and you who had stood outside, believing you needed permission to enter, believing the gate barred you, now feel worthy to walk into this place. Pushing the gate open, it swings soundlessly inward, revealing a path that winds into verdant depths of a garden. The path beneath your feet is made of smooth stones, each one worn by countless footsteps. And though you cannot remember walking here before, it somehow feels familiar. The air carries the scent of the earth and the growing of things, of rain that fell hours ago but still glistens on leaves, of flowers open to release their fragrance into the air. Other plants shed their seeds, releasing possibilities of taking root in soil, rich with decay of what came before. Yet everything here is in process. Everything here is becoming, and you are part of that great unfolding. So as you walk deeper and deeper into the garden, you notice how the light filters through the canopy above, dappling the ground in patterns that shift and change with each breath of wind, each breath that you take. Some areas are bathed in golden warmth, where the sun breaks through in shafts of pure radiance, illuminating dust mites that dance like tiny stars. Whereas other areas rest in cool shadow, shade, where moss grows thickly and soft, where ferns unfold their tender fronds, where shade-loving plants thrive in the dimness. And you understand, walking through these alternating bands of light and shadow, that both are necessary, both are part of the whole, both are required for the garden to flourish. The sun-loving flowers could not exist without the bright clearings, and the shade-dwellers would wither in constant light. Nothing is wrong here. Everything has its place. The path leads you to a clearing where a perfectly still pool of water reflects the sky with such clarity that you cannot tell where the water ends and the heavens begin. The pool is bordered by smooth rocks, and plants grow at its edges. Dragonflies skim the surface, their wings catching the light, creating brief rainbows in the air. You approach the edge of the pool, and you look down at your reflection. And perhaps the first time ever, you see yourself without distortion, without judgment, without filters of criticism or comparison. And your own face looks back at you. And you see yourself as simply being, a human being, genuine, real. But as you watch, the water begins to ripple, shimmer, and from somewhere deep below, concentric circles spread out across from the center. And now rising from the depths emerges a figure made of shadow and sediment, made of all the voices that have told you you're not good enough, that you'll never achieve much, that you're wrong in some fundamental way. And this figure climbs up and out of the pool and stands before you, dripping wet with words that feel like criticism that you've carried, like stones, like weights in your pockets all these years, like chains around your ankles, like burdens never asked for, but somehow you have carried them anyways. And this shadow speaks with many mouths, each voice familiar. It wears a face of doubt, of shame, of every moment where you told yourself or were told to be smaller, quieter, different from who you are. It recites its litany of limitations, its catalogue of your inadequacies, and its voice is loud because you have listened to it for so long. And it seems to know exactly what to say because you've rehearsed these lines together. Actor and audience, critic and criticised, locked in a performance that has run on for years. And this shadow, like a well-known voice, tells you you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not attractive enough, that you're not successful enough. And it reminds you of every failure, every rejection, every moment of humiliation, disappointment. And it shows you images of others who seem to have what you lack, seem to be what you are not, and seem to navigate life with ease and grace that has been denied to you. This shadow is your inner critic, and today you do not turn away from it. Today you do not believe the shadow without question. Today you see this figure clearly for what it is. It's not truth, but merely an echo. Not reality, but a rehearsal. Not prophecy, but memory. And you recognize that the shadow has no power except what you've lent it. No substance except what you have fed it. And no strength except what you've given it by listening to its voice as if it spoke with authority. You step forward and the shadow wavers, becoming less solid, less certain of itself. You take another step yet closer and you feel something rising within you. An ancient knowing, some bedrock of truth that has been buried deep within the sediment of your mind for years. And you speak and your voice is steady, rising from some deep wellspring within you that has always been there, waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to draw from it, waiting for you to claim this moment. And you tell the shadow that it is no good. Look at it. Look at the state of it. It has made no effort. It has never achieved anything. It has only followed you around and criticized. And you tell it has been projecting out its own inadequacies onto you, on top of you. And you tell it you're not putting up with it anymore. It ends here. You're done with it. No more, you say. And you push it forcibly backwards. It staggers backwards, no longer able to sustain itself. It disintegrates. It shatters into shards that instantly spread out in all directions. And it's gone. And now you feel so much better. You wish that you had stood up to it sooner. And you realize the truth. The truth about you is the truth about me and about every human being that has ever lived before us. We are all flawed. Everyone has something wrong with them, and that's fine. There is no such thing as a perfect human being out there. Sure, there are plenty of people who pretend to be perfect, but you don't want to be them or have anything to do with them because they're not real, they're not genuine. We as human beings are perfectly imperfect. It defines us as a species. Because when you think of everybody in your life that matters to you, the people that you care about, none of these people are perfect. None of them. Not a one. They're all flawed. All perfectly imperfect. It's their flaws that give them their character, Their personalities, the way that they look at you, sometimes the words that you use, the way they say things that sometimes have you belly laughing. The way they walk, the way they stand, just the way they are, and you love them exactly as they are, and you wouldn't change a thing about them, you wouldn't change them for the world. And that's why these people love you, for your flaws, which is great. Because you don't need to be perfect, or anything like perfect. You don't need to fix absolutely everything about your life, but you do want change. And you're going to attract that change right now. So as you continue along the path, the garden opens up into different chambers, each one revealing aspects of yourself that have been growing all along, even when you couldn't see them. Even when you denied their existence sometimes, even when you focused so intently on what was lacking that you became blind to what was actually present. And in one clearing, you find trees that have weathered storms, years of storms. Their trunks are scarred but still standing. Their branches reaching skywards despite the lightning that has struck them, the burning, the scarring, despite the winds that have bent them over and broken branches, despite droughts that have tested them. And you place your hand against the bark of one of these trees, and you feel your own resilience humming beneath the surface of your skin, as if the energy in you and the energy in the tree is the same energy. You feel every challenge that you have survived, every loss you've endured, every moment you thought you couldn't continue but somehow did. And you realize that there is no stress that you've ever encountered in your life that has ever gotten the better of you. None. Because you are still here. Despite everything that you have faced through your life, you are still here. You've not been beaten. And the tree does not apologize to anyone for its scars. It wears them proudly as evidence of its strength, as a testament to its survival, as proof of its deep roots, its endurance. Further on, you discover a grove where wildflowers grow in glorious disorder, each one different in colour, form, and fragrance. And there are no rows here, no careful planning or laying out, no judgment about where these flowers belong. All of these are very different wildflowers, and grow here in the same space. None compete, each to their own. All contribute to the tapestry of colour, form, life. And you understand that your uniqueness is not a flaw to be corrected, but a gift to be used. A rose does not apologize for its thorns, nor needs to. A dandelion doesn't apologize for its defiance growing through concrete. Each is exactly where it's meant to be, and the garden is richer for the diversity. You walk through an area where slender trees bend in the breeze, flexible yet strong, teaching you that adaptation is not the same as defeat, that bending is not the same as breaking, that yielding to the wind allows you to rise again when it passes. Because the trees that stand rigid and refuse to bend are the ones that snap and break. The trees that go with the flow, with the current of the air, are the ones that learn, that adapt, that continue, that endure. Nearby you find a fountain that flows from some hidden source deep beneath the ground, giving out water freely without counting whether the gift is returned, without measuring its worth by what it receives in exchange. The fountain doesn't ask if it's appreciated. In fact, the fountain does not realize the full extent of its influence. It simply flows because flowing is its nature. You bend down, you scoop up some water from this fountain, and you feel your own capacity for contribution, for connection, for giving from the fullness of who you are rather than from what you lack. You understand that you've been valuable all along through the simple act of being present, of showing up, of offering what you have to offer without needing to be everything, without needing to be perfect, without needing to earn your validation through others. The path leads you now to a structure made of mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of yourself, seen through others' eyes. The structure is like a maze of mirrors, corridors of mirrors branching out in multiple directions, each surface reflecting back to yourself a distorted and altered vision of you. A vision of you that is shaped by the expectations, the judgments of others. And you see yourself at different ages as the child in school who never felt smart enough. There was always somebody who knew more than you. You were always compared to other people. And you struggled to grasp concepts. You believed your worth was measured by your grades or whether your teacher approved of you. You felt judged, compared to others, felt compared in a less favourable way. Or maybe you were just too quiet, too sensitive. Or maybe you were rebellious or just misunderstood. You see yourself older now as an adult who's measured by worth of achievement, by the size of your paycheck, by the title on your desk, a business card, by the approval of someone else's eyes. And you've been checking these mirrors constantly, adjusting yourself according to their reflections, responding to them, trying to become what you thought others wanted you to be, contorting yourself into shapes that fitted with their frames, exhausting yourself with effort of being everyone else's version of you. But you're unhappy. And as you look more closely, you realize these mirrors are not windows into truth. They are nothing but simply glass. Glass made of sand. Sands of time. They reflect light, but they create nothing. They can show you surfaces, but they cannot show you substance or depth. They can display images, but they cannot capture your essence. And you realize you've been living now as if these reflections were reality, as if you existed only in the perception of others, as if you existed only in the mirror, as if your worth was determined by the consensus of others rather than by the simple fact that you are in existence. You are here. And you pick up a stone at your feet, solid, heavy, real. And you understand that you are not required to perform for these mirrors. You are not obligated to seek their approval. You are not defined by their reflections. And with a single decisive motion, you throw the stone, it arcs through the air and it strikes the mirror. The glass shatters, falling away like the illusion it is, like fog burning off in the morning sun, the breaking of an old spell that held you transfixed, that held you captive for so long. And all of the mirrors shatter in unison, spontaneously now exploding, shards of glass splintering out in all directions. When it all settles, behind where the mirror stood, you see yourself as you want to be. Smiling, happy, confident. You are your own person. And you see that your worth was never in that reflection, never in that judgment, never in that comparison. The people who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. The people who truly matter have never been looking at you through mirrors. They've been seeing you directly, exactly as you are, accepting you exactly as you are, valuing your presence, not your performance, loving the person that you actually are rather than the person you thought you needed to be because someone else told you that. So as you stand in this clearing, feeling totally freed, you notice that you are not alone. At the far edge of the space, beneath an ancient oak tree whose branches spread like a canopy, a cathedral ceiling, sits a figure. At first you cannot make out exactly their features and what they look like. They seem to almost like be camouflaged by the tree, shimmering slightly as if they exist both here and now, but also elsewhere, as if in some other time. Instinctively you feel drawn to this figure with a sense of curiosity, that there's something about this figure that draws you in. And as you approach, you notice the way they just sit with perfect ease, with a relaxation that speaks of comfort. Somebody who has finally stopped struggling. Somebody who no longer feels the need to play the game of life. Someone who has made peace with who they are, who has found stillness that comes from accepting rather than resisting. And now the figure looks up at you, acknowledging your presence with a nod and a gentle smile. Their eyes are kind, all-knowing and strangely familiar. And a gesture to you to sit down with them. So you lower yourself to the ground and you feel the earth beneath you. You feel grounded, solid, supported. And the figure says, "I've been waiting for you." And the voice carries a warmth that makes you feel seen and heard. "I've been here in this garden all along, tending to it, watching over it, knowing that eventually you would find your way back." You look at them, questions forming in your mind, and they continue to speak before you can ask. "You've been carrying so much, haven't you? So much effort, so much striving, so much trying to prove and earn and deserve what was already yours. And I've watched you exhaust yourself, trying to become worthy, to feel worthy, never realizing that you were worthy from the beginning, that you didn't have to play that game." And there's something about the way they speak, the cadence of the words that resonates deep within you. And you ask, "How do you know me?" The figure smiles. "Because I remember. I remember standing where you are now, believing all the same lies, fighting all the same battles, seeking approval from people who were never meant to define me. I remember thinking that worth was something external, something that had to be earned through achievement, something others had to give me. I remember trying to gain that approval from others." "And what changed, you ask? How did you let go?" The figure is quiet for a moment, considering. "I stopped measuring myself against others. I realized comparison is a trap, a snare, a game with no winners, only people who exhaust themselves trying. And that every person you compare yourself to is indeed fighting their own battles, carrying their own struggles and wounds, presenting their own carefully curated version of themselves out to the world. You're comparing your inner experience, all of your doubts, your fears and your struggles, with their exterior presentation, their front. And it's not a fair comparison. It's never been a fair comparison." You feel something shift within you, and the figure continues. "I've learned that the validation I was seeking from others was really just a substitute for the validation I needed to give myself. Every time I sought approval from someone else, I was really saying that I didn't trust my own judgment. I didn't trust my own worth, my own sense of self. I was handing my power over. I was abdicating my power to other people who were never meant to hold it. Other people who sometimes didn't really care about me. And you ask, but how did you actually stop caring about what others think? You don't stop caring entirely, the figure responds, because you're human. Connection matters. What changes is that you stop making other people's opinions more important than yours. Stop putting their opinions above yours. You stop abandoning yourself in order to gain someone else's approval. You start to ask different questions. Not what will they think, but what do I feel? What's true for me? The happiness you've been chasing, the contentment you've been seeking, it doesn't come from achieving more or becoming different or finally earning the approval of others. It comes from acceptance, from embracing who you actually are rather than who you think you should be. From offering your authentic self to the world and trusting that the people meant for you will recognize you, will value you, will see your worth without having to perform. But you say, what if my authentic self isn't enough? The figure's expression softens with compassion. Enough for what? Enough for whom? You see, that question reveals the trap. When you ask if you're enough, you're implying that there's some standard that you need to meet, some external measure of adequacy. But you're not a product to be valued. You are a person, a human being whose worth is inherent, not earned. The figure reaches out and places a hand on the ground between you, fingers spread out across the earth. Look at this garden. Does the oak tree over there question whether it's enough? Does it compare itself to the willow tree by the stream, wishing it could bend as gracefully? Does it measure its worth by how much fruit it produces or how many birds nest in its branches? No. It simply grows according to its nature, reaching upwards towards light, sinking roots deeply into the earth, being exactly what it is meant to be. You're saying then I should be like a tree, you say. I'm saying that you are the tree. You have a nature, you have gifts that are yours alone, perspectives that are unique to you, contributions that only you can make. And if you don't make them, nobody else will. When you try to be somebody else, when you shape yourself according to somebody else's expectation, you deprive the world of you. You rob us all of what you came here to do. The people who are meant to be in your life will appreciate you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. And the ones who need you to be different, to be smaller than other people around them, to live a lesser life, these people are not your people. So letting them go is not a failure, it's wisdom. It's choosing yourself. It's understanding that you cannot be everyone's vision of acceptable, and that trying to be will only leave you fractured, exhausted. The light shifts again. Now you can see the figure's face clearly, and a realization moves through you. Because the features of the face are similar to yours, a little older perhaps. Lines that speak of laughter with eyes that carry wisdom earned through years of living, but unmistakably yours. And the figure says, yes, I am you. I am who you become when you finally accept what I'm telling you now. I am the version of you who stopped seeking worth outside of you, who learned to value contribution over achievement, who found happiness in being authentic. And you stare at your future self and you ask, how long did it take me to be you? How long does it take us? And your future self smiles. It's not about time. It's not about waiting until you're finally good enough or finally have it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out. It happens in the moment you decide, the moment that you choose to believe that you are worthy now, exactly as you are, with all of your imperfections and uncertainties and limitations. That's when everything changes. But what if I don't know how? You whisper. You do. Because you become me. The fact that I am here now proves it to you. So you can be confident that it only takes a choice, and that choice is inevitable. You stand and they rise with you. Your future self embraces you. You are already the person you're trying to become. You don't need to achieve or to do anything else, to fix anything, to improve anything. You are worthy as you are now. And as you embrace, you feel emerging within you, as if part of you has been reclaimed. You feel the wisdom of your future self, the peace, the acceptance flowing throughout you, the awakening within. And you realize that your future self is not separate from you, not somewhere distant in time. They are there within you. They are the potential right now within you, waiting only for your permission to emerge. When you step back, you are alone again, but not alone, because you carry your future self with you now, within you. And you continue on your path, climbing upwards, ascending through terraces of garden, each level revealing more and more of the landscape below you. You climb not with a struggle, but with a curiosity, with a lightness, as if gravity itself has released its hold over you, and you feel drawn upwards by something that you recognize, something that calls to your true nature, something that welcomes you home. And at the summit you find a stone bench, weathered, smooth by time and weather, positioned at the highest point of the garden, and you just sit here, and you can see the entire expanse, the paths that you have walked, the pool, the groves, the walls, the trees, where the mirrors were. And you are worthy because you exist, because you're listening to this, because you are here now, because the universe made a space for you and continues to hold that space, regardless of what you do or don't do, regardless of what you accomplish or don't accomplish, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says about you. And when those moments come, as they will, when doubt arises and old patterns try to resurface, when the temptation to measure yourself against others or seek validation from external sources tries to haul you back, you remember this journey and you smile. You remember the garden. You remember your future self. And you remember that your worth is not conditional, not earned, not dependent on anything outside of yourself. And so you will remember, and you will choose differently. Not perfectly, not every time, not first time, but more and more often, with greater and greater ease, with greater certainty that you cannot actually get it wrong. You catch yourself comparing yourself, and you gently redirect. You notice yourself seeking approval from you, and getting that validation from you, and smiling as you feel at peace with yourself. And you carry forward the wisdom of your future self, not separate from you, but is a full expression of you, of your potential, of the person you become, the person you're becoming right now.